An earlier video, I mentioned that I believe the #1 accelerator to my career and your career is reading. Okay? And a viewer of mine, I love it when viewers give me pushback. I said, hey, Joe, you mentioned reading. It was great for you, very influential, but you didn't go into any more detail. You didn't suggest any books, anything like that. So, hey, great. Feedback from the audience, critical, folks. If you see something that's missing, there's a challenge you're facing you don't see a video for, send it to me, send it my way. Good chance I'll make a video from it. At a minimum, I'll send you an email back or a comment back with my thoughts on that challenge. And good chance I have some experience in that area. Rarely does somebody stump me. After 34 years, I've seen an awful lot. So I've listed 10 books. They're going to be in the text below, and I've got them. I'm going to show you here what the cover looks like as I go through them, and also go through a couple critical lessons I learned with each book. So I'm just not going to read you a list. I'm going to say, what did I learn from each book? Also, one of the things, and this is just my style, and I recommend it, is that each of these books I've read at least 10 times. I've consumed a lot of books through Audible, through books on tape, and through reading the physical hard copy. But there's probably 200 that I've consumed, easily 200. But there's 10 or so that I keep going back to and try to deep dive and understand repeatedly, learn the lessons and look for the little nuances in there that I missed on the first, second, third, fourth, or fifth reading. And believe me, that does happen. Your mind changes with more information that comes into it. Sometimes you have to read something 7 or 8 times before it sinks in and connects. So that's what I do. I read these books, each one of these several times, and write notes on them. I look for books that have timeless lessons in them. So one of the things you'll see is these books aren't new. I don't have, this isn't on the New York Times bestseller right now. I'm not looking for the latest fad. I'm looking for leadership and skills and lessons that are timeless. People that pushed conventional thinking, pushed the envelope, and it's not just sharing information, but things that stretched my way of leading an organization and leading my life. This is my method, okay? It may not be yours, but I try for deep understanding of a few over broad understanding and concepts in hundreds of books. Like I said, in this video, I'm gonna name the book, the author, and a couple key concepts. This is Joe Kuhn of Lean-Driven Reliability, bridging the gap between best practices that you know how to do. They're in books, they're in seminars, they're on YouTube, you know what to do, but you can't quite figure out how to do it in your culture, working through those obstacles. You think you're alone. Oh, Joe's here for you to share some of my experience with you. It's rare that somebody stumps me on an experience they're having that I haven't been through a couple times. So reach out to me for some help. Okay, book #1, and these are not in order of ones I think are great. Okay, this is 10 of them. Okay, my first book is called Debunkery, and it's by Ken Fisher, and it's on 50 stock market myths that you believe that are not true. And he forms a case of why they are not true and why people's behavior forces them to do other things. For an example, bonds are safer than stocks. That's a myth. That is an actual myth over time that he goes into. That may blow your mind. Worth buying this book. If you're an investor at all in your 401k and savings, this book is worth it. Ken Fisher, Debunkery. It helps you avoid the self-inflicted damage to your portfolio. Okay, book #2. Old book, How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. I think that was written like in the 50s. You know, you're interacting with people all the time. And Dale Carnegie has timeless techniques, not to manipulate people, but timeless techniques of how to influence people's behavior, how to influence what they think of you, building connections, change opinions, that kind of thing. I also took a 20-week course live here in my hometown, 1 day a week, actually, for 20 straight weeks, learning about Dale Carnegie, timeless salesman techniques. And if you're in reliability, you're in sales. Remember that. Okay, book number 3, another one this is probably 3 books in a row you've never heard of. Walking the Empowerment Tightrope by Robert Crosby. Okay, this is about understanding your leadership style. Understanding my style, my biases, my hot buttons, how to handle authority, how to engage people, how to make decisions, giving feedback to people. Outstanding self-awareness course that you can take by reading this book. I also took a 2-year leadership course from the Leadership Institute of Seattle early in my career. This was probably in the late 80s, early 90s, where we got together. It was 12 weeks long over 2 years, where we would learn these techniques, practice, get feedback. People in a very safe learning environment learn those techniques. It's very internally focused. This book is, and what makes you a leader, and what your weak spots are and your strengths. My next book is Journey to the Emerald City. It's kind of a spin on the Wizard of Oz thing. It's by Roger Connors and Tom Smith. About the year 2000, I was introduced to this book. It's about driving culture change in organizations. And if you're a listener on this channel, you've heard me talk about the results pyramid. And I talk about this 20 years later. The results pyramid was introduced by these guys. It's about experiences. Experiences are how you change beliefs. By creating new experiences, you change beliefs. By creating new beliefs, you create new actions that people take. And by creating new actions, you create new results. So experiences, creating new experiences one at a time, is how you change a culture. And I quote that today all the time. My number 5 book, Jack Welch, Straight from the Gut. Okay, he was the former CEO of General Electric for about 20 years, like 1980 to 2000, roughly. He talks about seeing reality, a culture of candor. How do you have candor in your meetings where people aren't just trying to be defensive and fear of embarrassment and trying to look good? How do you get candor in your organizations and see reality? Last thing, becoming a people factory. This was very instrumental in my career. How do I build leaders? Good leaders build leaders. So what is your system to build leaders? Do you delegate that to HR, or do you take personal interest in it? Jack Welch really drove that hard into me. I love that book, Jack Welch, Straight from the Gut. Number 6, I loved his first book so well. I got Winning. Winning is another book by Jack Welch. And one of the lessons in there that came through was differentiation. This is how do you build top performing teams. And sometimes, folks, this is tough. This is going to sting. Sometimes when you join a team, or you're the leader of a team, there's some good souls that are just C players. They're average players. They know a lot, but they're not wanting to take risks. They're not wanting to build systems. They don't bring the best out of people, but they do a good, solid job. Sometimes they got to go. And that's tough to say. And I did this better than most in my career, is building teams. And one of the levers that I pulled every single time I joined an organization was I had to change out team members. And that's hard, and it should be hard. But I had to put people in roles where they can excel and not be a detriment to the team. So that was very, very influential, that book called Winning. Okay, number 7, Jim Collins, Good to Great. Spent a lot of money on that cover design, made it red. The good to great, focus on a few. You know, he talks about the hedgehog concept is just focus on a very few things. So many times people have 64 top priorities, 64 initiatives in 2021. That's crazy, folks. What are your three? What are your two? You know, if you can accomplish three fundamental things in 2021, that's actually a very big deal. You know, good results in being good. If your plan is good, your systems are good, that results in complacency. You don't want to give up the good to stretch for great. You don't want to take the risk to lose good to achieve great. That's a common problem in companies, and also the flywheel effect of a culture change. You small changes, just like the results pyramid above, creating these new experiences gets this flywheel of change going and culture change. And that's how businesses are successful. They have a culture of improvement, a culture of waste elimination, right? Okay, that was book number 7. Book number 8, simple title, Execution by Larry Bossidy and Ram Charan. Okay, execution. It's the discipline of getting things done. How many great ideas do you have around the conference room table? How many great ideas are presented to you in PowerPoint? How many great ideas are, you know, somebody said, I had that idea 5 years ago. You know, ideas are great, but execution is all that matters. Execution. So in this book, it details a process to get things done. Another thing it illustrated to me is the leader cannot delegate hiring people. If you're building your team, you need to do it. Don't delegate that. One example of something that I took from this book and did this in every job since I've read the book was one-on-one discussions with my direct reports. I go out to drive candor up, one-on-one, out in the field, out in their process, talking about things they're doing well, gaps they may have. They're sharing things with me. It's a two-way conversation. At the end of that conversation, that's great. At the end of that conversation, I send them an email. Here's what we talked about. Here's what you're doing great. Here's what I need to see an improvement in, and what actions you may need me to do and actions I need you to do in a very short email. Creates a contract. It goes from a discussion, you know, kind of some feedback, to a contract when you follow that up with an email. Then I take that email and I put it on my electronic calendar for like a month later, 2 months later, whatever makes sense. And that gives me the information to say, hey, I'm going to follow up with old Joe on this contract we signed last Thursday or Thursday of a month ago. Execution, fantastic book. Number 9 is Andy and Me. Maybe look like a weird choice. Another book you probably have never heard of. Okay, it's by Pascal Dennis. Very good. If you're a normal listener to my channel here, it's about KPIs and opinion and how they are biased and how they are wrong. They are wrong. They've got errors in them. They're not 100% wrong, but they're not 100% right. They've got fear of failure built into them. They got, not fear of embarrassment built into them, so where people won't be embarrassed about certain facts that come out. You lose waste opportunities in averaging. You know, for example, if a turnover on to one product to the next product averages 30 minutes, that could be one that was 45 minutes and one that was 15 minutes. So 15 minutes and 45 minutes averaged together is 30 minutes. Well, why did the 45 happen and why did the 15 happen? You know, there's gold inside of those individuals. And it taught me about chalk circle observation. Fundamental to my company is intimate knowledge of current state through chalk circle observation. I've got that through Andy and Me and, other people in my life, lean people that have worked with me and were my coaches, teachers through the years, creating that go and see culture, not just 100% swallowing KPIs and opinion and talk. Go to chalk circle. Solutions, what's golden about that? You hear about, lean and go, Gitchi Gembutsu and all that kind of stuff, go to the place. But one of the things that I didn't hear anybody talk about is when you create that go and see culture and you do chalk circle, simple solutions present themselves. Everybody's looking for the magical solution. They sit in a conference room, they talk about their KPIs, throw up their charts, and they scratch their head. What should we do? What should we do? You do chalk circle, and the ideas become obvious, and they're simple. No cost can implement in days. Got that from Andy and me. It's a great book, simple read, just take a few hours. My 10th book, I tell you, I made this one 10th on purpose, not because it's last, but Making Common Sense Common Practice by Ron Moore. To me, I call it the Bible of reliability best practices. I've read it easily a dozen times, and timeless lessons inside of there. Even in this technology age, it's a system. If you deploy one best practice, that's really almost worthless. You really have to build a reliability system and a reliability culture. And also, page 220 of that book is the most important part of that book is if you just add the best practices and don't add problem solving, your results are going to be mediocre. You have to add problem solving where it's a continuous loop of getting better and better every time you do something. If you find an anomaly on a pump, a rotating pump, if you find a defect through vibration, and you simply plan, schedule, and kit and stage that job and get it done, you're leaving 90% on the table. Why did that happen? Why did that anomaly happen? And prevent the event from happening in the first place. That's what Ron Moore talks about on page 220, adding problem solving. It goes into the best practices, good stuff, but you can find that in a lot of places. Page 220 is all the meat for me in the lesson in that book that I quote almost 20 years after I've read it. Again, those are my 10. I recommend intimate knowledge of a few books, like this 10, rather than a general understanding of hundreds of books. I think you'll be better off in your career if you do that. These people have given, like Ron Moore, he's probably got a 50-year career that he collapses to one book. 50 years worth of lessons in this one book. What can that do if you understood it? And I've got 9 others over here. All these people are taking all their wisdom and putting it in a book, just like I did. You guys got my book, hopefully Zero to Hero, where I take my 32 years and put it into a book. Did I miss your favorite? If I did, hey, add it in the comments. We'll start a little discussion around favorite books that impacted your life and why. Begin your journey, folks. Hey, this isn't that hard. Reliability, your career, management isn't really that hard, but you have to have a plan. You don't need luck. A lot of people say you need luck. Luck is the conversion of being prepared and timing. The right timing will eventually come, but are you prepared to take advantage of it? That looks like luck, but it's all about being prepared, having a plan. If I can help you in any way, send me a comment, send me an email. I respond to 100% of them. Most of the time, I actually try to set up a phone call with you, free hour consultation, no sales pitch, just talk to you about your issues, trying to help you out. This is Joe out.